A very good evening, good afternoon, wherever you joined us from. Tonight we on a very great journey. Like we always say on the Connect, life is a journey. So we've been through many journeys together with you, our viewers. But tonight we're going on a different trajectory. We just want to understand what is a relationship and what is this journey that people keep talking about, and basically just to understand what are the stages and what do you need to do when you're in a certain stage. Today we're joined by a very great lady. She's going to introduce herself, but before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's tuning in and everybody who's gonna watch this video a bit later on. We want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you for everything that you keep doing for this channel, and we will keep bringing you great stories. If you have a story out there and you'd like us to, to air the story, or you'd like us to talk about a certain topic, please write down on the comments down below, and also reach on our social media, and we're gonna try and endeavor to bring you that story. So tonight, without further ado, I just want to introduce our great guest tonight. She'll introduce herself, but tonight we're joined by a lady called Katinda Karibu Sana. In other language, it says welcome.
Asante Sana. Hello, hello, everyone. And I'm very honored to be part of this amazing program tonight. So I'm Katinda Ndola, and some people call me the Empowerment Queen. So I wear so many hats. So I'll just start with I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm an educator, I'm a personal development coach, I'm a relationship coach. I'm a facilitator. I do so many things. And I'm also creative director of the Confidence and Self Esteem Online Academy. So I like to just say that a lot of people sometimes don't understand what coaching is about. And today we're here to talk about the relationship journey. And I like to say, you know why the song is called Who You Gonna Call Ghostbusters. So I'm that person you call when the forces of the universe force you to shift your perspective. So the shift that makes you learn the lesson before you repeat it. So that is the person I am. And I like to say that everybody has to realize they have to be a student for life. So it does being a student for life does not mean your university, your school. That's school, but in life, in the street, what's we're all students. Every day you have an experience that you're learning something. Every time somebody does something not, that you don't like, that's a lesson. So I always say to people, when you meet people, whether it's relationships, whether it's work, anywhere, there's one of two things. You're either a blessing or a lesson. And most times it could be both, and sometimes it's one or the other. So yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, what an introduction. They call it the school of hard knocks. And some
Yes.
people, some people like to go it tough. Some people like to learn from others. So, but tonight, thank you for that great introduction, so that people can understand that tonight we're learning from someone who's actually ventured to understand what a relationship is. So we're gonna start off with this journey, because with a journey there has to be a start. So at the start, what is this stage called when someone maybe is single or is trying to get into a relationship, or even before that? What is just a basic introduction of what is a relationship, and then we go to the first stage of a relationship. Over to you, Katinda.
Okay. So my biggest thing, I know a lot of people don't know this because that's another thing too, Pete. I like to say I like to talk about or teach the things schools and our parents don't talk about. Sometimes it's taboo subjects. Some families are lucky enough to have that, but a lot of people don't have those kind of conversations because of the stigma around it, the fear that parents think when they talk about relationship or sexuality, it might provoke or encourage, which is actually it's the opposite. It's actually educating and informing people so they're more aware of the situation. So the one thing I like to say is you cannot get into a relationship with another person before you understand the relationship with yourself. So that's the first stage of relationships. It's not about going out there and attracting somebody else. It's about attracting the love within you. And that's why we talk a lot about self-love, going out in the world and trying to figure out what's going on with me, what do I like, what don't I like. And I like to also ask the question for the viewers who are watching this, just if you're not in a relationship, obviously that relationship with another person is going to come. And I promise you it will happen. But you need to start working on yourself first. So the question is, would you take yourself on a date or would you go out with someone? Would you go out with yourself? And when I ask that question, a lot of people say, what do you mean? Would you go out with yourself? So that is a question, a self reflection question. Like, if you're afraid of yourself, and you can't take yourself out or you can't go on a date with yourself, what makes you think someone that you're going to meet is going to want to be with you in a meaningful way when it's not short term and it's just physical? So the first really trick to this, the first rule is loving yourself, working on yourself, figuring out what you want from life. What do you want? Because I think a lot of us just go with the flow because everybody does it. Oh yeah, you meet somebody, you like them, you're attracted, you get involved, and then when it doesn't work out, you're like, why does it always happen to me? It's very simple. It's happening to you because you've not worked on you. That is number one priority, no matter what, which way you look at it.
Amazing, Katinda. And someone would ask, how can I get myself ready? Because now this is some people have, I don't want to call them traumas, or they don't really know how to love themselves. But are there some tips that you can give someone to sort of invest in themselves so that they can get ready to love someone else, Katinda?
Well, this is called the self awareness journey. So, for example, on my website, I've got a few tools which talk about self awareness, self love. What are those things? There's some routines you have to practice because you just, if you're very undisciplined, a lot of things don't work for you. So, it's really going on your self love journey, which starts with obviously monitoring yourself, seeing how do you feel? What does your body feel like? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling stressed? What's going on? The one thing I'm very big on is gratitude. I had somebody ask me today morning, they go, how can you be happy when everything is going wrong in your life? I said, well, it's a very good question, but guess what? How can you be happy when you're dead? Is still another question. So I said, the minute you wake up and you're actually alive and you take a breath in, that is something to be grateful for, because if you have breath, you've got life. And if you've got life, you can make things happen. You can work solutions to things. And I think it's just sometimes I feel people want shortcuts to life, but there's no such thing. You're going to do things step by step. You're going to be grateful. And I say gratitude is actually better than love, because when you're grateful, your life seems to be more peaceful, more aligned, you're more in balance. And then you can get the love you want. But if you're just looking for love when you're not grateful, the universe will punish you. It doesn't give you what you want when you're not ready for it.
And just for someone who might ask, when you're in that this self-awareness journey, are there, places you can go to get help? That's the field you are in. But other than that, are there people that you can talk to? Are there books that you can recommend someone to read, maybe to get away with some of the traumas, or maybe just get to know how to love yourself, Katinda?
Okay. You mentioned the word trauma. Everybody, without exception, has gone through some childhood trauma. Let's just go where the problem starts. It's a childhood trauma. It's what happens to you when you're growing up, 0 to 7 years. Those are the years when your formative years, when you're getting to get programmed by your environment, your family, whoever is around you. And if they're not in the best way possible, they don't know how to do things, and they've got a lot of toxicity, you're going to inherit a lot of that, and that trauma will continue. So I feel once somebody is old enough and understands, like most people who are watching this, I would assume they're over 18 most of the time. I think we should sort of get this notion of stigma about mental well-being, and mental wellness, because I think people should start to consider the same way you do your medical checkups a year. Maybe you do twice a year. You go to get your dentist to check your teeth twice a year. You do that once a year. You do your blood works. We do all those things. And I like to give the example with cars. We take our cars for service before they break down. But we never do the same for our bodies, for our love life, for anything before something goes wrong. We wait until things go wrong, then we get to fix. So I'm a big believer that people need to start having a good friendship or association with therapists. There is nothing wrong with going to a therapist. This is not because you're sick. This is for your well-being, just to see where you're at with things. Going to a therapy is a good thing. Now, those who are scared of therapists, that's why people like me who are a coach, we come in. We're not medical doctors with nothing to do with the medical field. We are coaches. And what we do, for example, for me, I'm a coach and I coach people on relationships. I coach people in love. I coach people on so many varieties of things. And that is a good starting point for people to not be afraid to say, hey, I need help. Because I think the biggest stigma and the problem we have, most of us, we don't seek for help when we need it. And sometimes we speak to each other. And when we're both not experienced, we're giving each other foolish ideas. We're not really solving a problem. And this is why you have to find, if you have any sort of situation, whether it's a love situation, relationship situation, you can speak to a relationship coach, You can speak to a therapist. You can speak to somebody who you think qualifies enough to be able to guide you in the right direction.
Amazing. And now we've tackled a bit of the problem where people are not ready. But now let's say you're ready and you want to get into maybe this relationship. What are some of the tips maybe to overcome maybe fear or to overcome, fear of the unknown or maybe to approach someone to get into a relationship with? It might be a friendship, it might be a relationship leading to something else. But what are some of the tips that you can give someone who really is ready and wants to get into a relationship, Katinda?
Well, I think the way I look at it, you don't go looking out for a relationship. You become it. So as I said before, you work on yourself, you develop yourself, you love yourself, you're in a good mind. So you think about your different parts of your life. So your spiritual life is good for you, your mental well-being is great, your physical well-being is great, your social life is, when you've got a life going on, right? So I feel relationships sometimes are best when they just happen. Not when you think, okay, you work on yourself, but you don't go out there looking and searching. And I think this is where I'm not saying that it's bad to go online to meet people because a lot of people are doing that nowadays, but there is a lot of lack of connection because you don't feel the attraction on a human level. You see a picture, and a lot of times the pictures are not really the real thing most of the time. So when you get to meet the real thing, you get disappointed because you already you invested so much time looking for somebody, and I think it doesn't work. You don't look for somebody, you get found, but you're going to put yourself in those spaces, which means going to places with like-minded people. Because again, it's like if you want to meet somebody, if you're into fitness, for example, right? Because you're saying what do people do the next step. So assuming you're a fitness nut, you love to exercise, you like to eat healthy, you like to keep positive and all the kind of stuff, you're going to go to places that people who are like that go to, because in that case you'll meet somebody who are like-minded, who you've got something in common in a lot of ways, and it won't be so difficult to navigate that terrain, you know what I mean? But then if you're looking for someone who's opposite completely to you, maybe somebody who drinks too much and you don't drink and stuff, that's already a problem waiting to happen. It's not going to work. Because in the beginning, it might be all the attraction, we're all excited, I think everything. But once that fades off, you got the reality to deal with. And I don't think anybody's willing to put up with things that are not positive. So I think people have to start going to places where like-minded people go if they want to meet someone. I mean, if you want to go clubbing and you meet somebody clubbing and that's the type of people you want to meet, there's nothing, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going clubbing. We all go clubbing once in a while. But you're going to ask yourself, do I want something meaningful? And then the question is, do you want something short term? Do you want something long term? What is the deal? Or are you just playing, or are you planning? Because we all have different reasons. So why are they out there? What do they want to go there out for? And the thing is really, it's again back to self-awareness. You're gonna ask yourself the questions. Why do I want a relationship? How long do I want it to last? How much, all those dynamics of relationships, what do I want from it? Because if you don't ask yourself those questions and you just meet somebody and you go with the flow, it doesn't work a lot of times because people don't communicate their needs and wants clearly
Hmm.
because they're afraid of whatever. There's a lot of
Yeah,
fear associated with, if I say this is who I am and this is what I like or don't like,
yeah.
he or she might not like me. So people like to just hide themselves and try to show their best self. But if it goes longer than normal and it's not short term, that your bad side will come out because you can't hide that forever. And I think really communication, again, we're going to go to that. Communication is critical. People have to, from day one, you're going to say what you want, put everything on the table. What's your negotiable? What's non negotiable? What is it you can do or can do? What is it you can deal with? Because if you pretend you want to go along, at some point it's not going to work.
Amazing. And as a coach, I know you've had very hard, discussions with people, just pointing them to the right direction or helping them even make a decision. So tonight we might have someone who's there, everything is going for them, and they're still not triggering getting into a relationship. What do you think we should tell them tonight, Katina?
When you say everything is going right, what do you mean?
So they're ready, they're self-aware, they've started the journey, they've done the read books, they're ready, they're going where you're saying to the right places, but they see someone, but still they're not ready to get in. What should we tell them tonight?
I think, first of all, there's so many dynamics to this. There is no right or wrong. There is no this is better than that. It's a question of try and error. A lot of this, I mean, life is dynamic. It's like when we are born, nobody can say, I mean, a lot of people can say, oh, this person is going to be this. Maybe they become that because somebody pushed that. we just have to assume life is so dynamic and you go with the flow and you just attract your vibration. You've got to lift your frequency so that you always have a high vibration. I think one thing people need to really pay attention to about themselves again before you know, we're saying they can't find somebody that's stuck in that space. There is no rush. Because if you rush it, what happens? You're going to regret it. So you may as well
Right.
take time. There's
Yeah.
no, I mean, I know life is short, but seriously, you want to live in your own terms, not because oh you're desperate about things. And I think what people need to really find out is do like I usually say, if people come to my class and we talk about this kind of things, I said draw a circle and divide the circle in different quarters, like pie charts and all this stuff. And you say, what type of person are you looking for? You want them to be confident. You want them to be clean. What are the value systems? Because you got to remember, it's not just attraction; it's a value system. Do
Mm.
they want them to be? Do you want them to be free? Do you want them to be financial free? Do you want them to be people who talk their mind and tell you what they're thinking? What is the characteristics of the person you're looking for? But when you do that, are you that person? Because a lot of times I have this thing where somebody got really upset with me because she said to me, "Oh, I'm looking for Mr. Right, but I haven't found one." And I said, "Unfortunately, you will not be finding any Mr. Rights." And she goes, "Why not?" And then the question was, "Are you Mrs. Right?" And she goes, "No." I said, "Then why do you want to be the one to get a perfect person? I mean, not such thing of perfection, but why do you want to get a person who's
The right
amazing,
person. Yeah.
all those good things, and you're
Hmm.
not that person? So you're actually coming in to bring chaos and problems because you want good when you're not good." Okay, I know there's a bad boy syndrome, all these things. Those things are just short term. That doesn't last. That's a fantasy, that's a fun thing. It's okay. But if you're looking for something serious and meaningful, anybody listening to this, those are not your people. Those are not your people at all.
I
Definitely.
like the conversation already. So if you want more details, if you want, to help yourself and get ready for any relationship, or you can always reach out to Katinda. We'll leave our details later on. But now we finished off the self-awareness journey. And now let's say I've met someone and I'm in a relationship, Katinda. How can I, keep it going? Or what are some of the things you can actually help out people out there just to safeguard or to spice up their relationships and to make them going. Maybe the second stage of the relationship now, Katinda.
Okay, so there's so many things. Actually, I have a program which is an online program, which is a 21-day email program, which says 21 rules of maintaining love or keeping your relationship or making your relationship healthy. And there's 21 things you can do. And it's just, it's every day you get one thing because it's just, there's too many things. So the first thing I need to say, if you're in a relationship, don't stop dating. Just because you're together doesn't mean, especially if you get married and all this kind of thing, don't stop having date nights. Keep those date nights coming because you know what? That's your connection time. You need to connect, you need to go through stuff, you need to be romantic. That stuff has to continue. Things like intimacy. Intimacy slows down once you're together for a long time, but intimacy is not just the physical element of it. Intimacy is all the other things, like, you know, um, spending some time with each other. I like to say, I've got some tools that I like to talk about, but I'll just talk about one or two here. So like every week you can plan a date whereby forget about the date night. It's just a day. You could be at home doing whatever it is. And what you just do, you sit with each other for 5 minutes, facing each other, and all no talking, just looking into each other's eyes. Just for 5 minutes. I know it's a very difficult exercise, but you can start with 30 seconds. And then if you manage 30 seconds, the next time you can do 1 minute and you can continue up to about 5 minutes. I know it's a very tough one, but no, you can look away, you look at each other. That is connecting. They say the eyes are the windows of the soul. So you're using all these intimacy tactics to connect with each other on a weekly basis. And you can try different things. That's just some of the things I find really work because I think we get too busy, we're working, we've got kids, things are happening. It's too many things going on. So we have to make time for romance. We have to make time for intimacy. We have to make time for dating. We have to make time for talking to each other about problems. What are some of the challenges? What is something you've done to me this week that I don't like? I have to make time. Maybe we plan, maybe it's a certain day of the week. We say, hey, you know what? Let's have that meeting. So we sit down and go, okay, honey, this is what happened this week. This didn't make me feel so great. Why, trying to rather, because a lot of times we let things pile and then we explode. So don't wait for that to happen. Because if you're in a meaningful relationship, you want to stay there for the long haul. I think I would say it's until death do we part. So you want to make it work, which means you both have to be empathetic, you both have to be compassionate, you both have to be understanding, you both have to listen to each other. You can't always do these stupid things all the time, fighting and arguing and not thinking things are fine. So there's a lot of that.
Amazing. And just in the context, I'll bring this home because you find that life here in Australia is a bit busy. You might have different schedules. You might have, people doing night shifts and the other one is doing day shift and kids involved. And so with all this happening, Katinda, how can you put that fire still burning? Because some people don't even meet for more than 2 hours in a day because they're in this cycle where it's shift after shift and maybe day shift, the other one is doing night shift so that they can keep things going. But what tips can you give them to sort of, tangible tips to help that marriage or that relationship going, or even to make time for that date night, Katinda?
They have to put things in the calendar. Really, the same way you go to work and you have to work from certain times to certain times. You're doing shift work, you've got times. You've got that. You go to church, that's a time. You took the kids to the school at this time, you do that. You cook at this time, you've got time. Why not do the same for your relationship? Because the relationship is not, there's you and him, you and her, whatever, all these things. But it's about build the relationship. Is it healthy? What are you doing for it? You have to work for the relationship to be healthy. And I think definitely put something in the calendar and you don't change it unless it's absolutely necessary. Because I think we complain we're busy. You can't be too busy for something you want to maintain. You can't be too busy for something you want to be. So, yeah.
Now, something else, in a relationship, two people coming together, raised in different backgrounds, having different, philosophies or ideologies, conflicts. In a relationship, how do you fight or how do you even resolve conflicts, Katina?
You know what I found over the years through my own experience? This is actually based on my own real life story. I find when you have conflict, you have to either, I know it takes a long time for most of us to grow to that point where we understand that the relationship is separate from me and you. So there's me and you and there's a relationship. So we got to work on each other. You're going to work on yourself and you're going to work on the relationship as well and you're going to work on each other, right? So I feel when there's a conflict, it's a matter of not pointing fingers because if you're pointing fingers, it's going to escalate. It's going to get worse because you're going to blame. I believe the best way to do this is to separate the problem from yourself. So let's say I'm with someone and something happened. Maybe it's my fault. That's fine. And maybe sometimes we don't like to accept because our egos are so big and we just fight because we want to. And then sometimes because we're female, oh yeah, emotions and all that kind of stuff, which is okay. But once you start to grow and you realize you have to get emotional maturity, you can't always fight from a place of pain. You're going to fight from a place of love. So I think the best way I found that works for me is separate the problem from you. So, okay, this is what happened. This is it doesn't matter whether it's me or you who did it. Let's put the problem in the middle. And how can we solve this problem without being the people in the problem? So you remove yourself. So it's almost like anything. Let's say you break a glass. I broke the glass, but I'm not going to cry and scream. I'm going to figure out, okay, I broke the glass. What can I do to fix the problem? I'm going to have to decide. I have to clean up the glass. I'm going to be careful so it doesn't cut me, put it in the bin, all these things. So it's really don't fight from a place of attacking each other, remove each other and put the problem in the middle and solve the problem step by step. And that works miracles. Trust me, I've seen it work. It's so amazing
Amazing. So remove the problem from the people and be
from
people and
yourself.
then solve the problem. Wow.
That's right. So it's
That's a
really it saves a lot of relationships. I've said that to a few people and they've gone, "Oh, I didn't even know about that." I said, "Yeah, solve it as if it's another thing which is not part of you, and it's going to be okay."
amazing. We're gonna touch two things on relationship, and then after that, we're gonna go on a small short break, and then after that, we're gonna continue with the segment. But now, finances and relationship. What advice do you have for people, couples or married couples out there in terms of relationship, in terms of finances? Because finances is actually the biggest touch points when it comes to relationships. People don't agree, maybe projects, maybe savings, or even spending the money. So, what advice do you have for our couples tonight, Katinda?
Well, you see, the interesting thing is before you get into a relationship, let's just go a little bit back. I know a lot of people don't like to disclose what they've got because of, in today's world, you don't know who is coming in for what. People are not coming in a relationship for the right reasons. So there's that fear that people don't disclose what they're worth and everything. And I feel if you're taking the risk to be in a relationship, just like with anything in life, you're going to go in 100%. I mean, you're going to give it the go. You can't go 50-50. And I believe from the word go, you need to talk about finances because that is the biggest reason people split up when things are not, and because again, it goes back to communication. So from the word go, when you come together, if you get serious, you're getting married, those kind of things need to come up. How much debt do you have?
Hmm.
Like if you're getting married to someone and you've got so much debt, you're going to let them know because once you're
Yeah.
married to the person, your debt is their debt, right?
Yeah.
So, so those are some of the conversations which a lot of people I feel don't are not they're not transparent. They hide
Hmm.
about it, and then maybe a few years later things catch up because they always catch you. It always catches up to you. But I think people need to disclose what their liabilities are, what their assets are when they're getting together, so it's clear that this is what we're working with. And then once they get into it, again, this is very difficult because we don't get taught this by our parents. The schools don't teach us, so we learn on our own when we're in those spaces. And unless you've been married or separated, all these things have happened to you, and somebody took half your money because you got married to them, you probably will not be disclosing a lot of things because you'll be thinking maybe he or she's coming back for the same take number two,
Yeah.
So that's I think that's really a matter of communicating and trusting each other to be able to bring that to the table without fear of what could go wrong. And without
Amazing.
communication, nothing else works.
I asked that because someone mentioned something before that there's something called financial abuse. So that's
Of
why I
course.
actually touched on that. So in terms of, I'm just gonna leave that at there. But in terms of raising up kids, especially in such a fast, paced environment, busy schedules, kids and relationships, what is your approach, or what should couples do when they have children? Because sometimes you find children actually become the center of everything and they forget about themselves. So what advice do you have for, couples out there who have kids and maybe, they don't have a life, and the life they have, it actually revolves the child. How can they, work with that dynamic, Katinda?
Well, again, let's go back to the calendar. You're gonna have things put in the calendar to balance these things out because it looks like a lot of I get a lot of guys or men who like when I work with them, they feel when they have children they feel neglected because the mother, the wife decides to pay so much attention to the kids and kind of they feel left out. The truth is, yes, you will get left out again because nobody's teaching these things. Nobody is educating women when you get married. You have kids, your husband still needs to be taken care of because he's like another big baby, really. Technically, he's a bigger baby and he still has needs. And what I feel really, again, which is a very interesting thing, I'm not saying kids are precious, they're important, but your spouse somehow comes first and then your kids come second because you came together first and then the kids came. So you have to balance that. If you're too busy, just put it in the calendar. Have time for him, time for you, time for the kids. I mean, there's the basic kids get everything anyway because they have to go to school, they have to be taken care of. That is automatic. But put time on the calendar to spend time with him as well and spend time with each other and also do a date with the kids. I'm a very big advocate for parents if you have one or two kids having a date time, play time or date time with the kids, especially as they get older. So if you're a dad and you have a daughter or a son, you have a daughter father days, daughter son father days, mother son, mother daughter, all those kind of things. You have to create time to bond with everybody in the family. That's just, I know it's just easy to say, but just put it on the calendar. That means it will not change. And even if you're bonding after school, you go to a quick coffee in a place for half an hour, or even taking a walk and exercise together. That's bonding. So make it more productive, not just sitting down and talking. You can also just do something together while you're bonding. And things, again, it's not what you like, it's what the other person likes. Because don't forget, relationships are a place you go to grow together, but also relationships is a place you go to give service. So you're in service of each other. It's not you to me, it's both of us. We're both in service. We are serving each other for best, for better good.
Amazing. I like the wisdom and the nuggets that are falling off tonight. Thank you so much, Katina. But before we now go on a break and then spill over to the other question, I wanted to finish off in a very, this note, which really is something that I thought it's worth to talk about tonight: mental health and relationships. How can people safeguard their mental health in relationships? Because you find that if you don't look at that, then it brings to our stage three, which we're going to talk about, after the break. But mental health and relationships, how can people look after their own mental health? Over to you, Katina.
Okay. That is a very good question. I love that question because it's something that I volunteer for a mental health organization, and we talk about all these kind of things all the time. So I want to encourage people to not have the stigma and fear of going to meet to see a counselor, psychologist, hypnotherapist, whoever you need to see, just to talk things, just for the sake of talking. You don't have talk therapy. It doesn't have to be because there's anything going on. Just do talk therapy, or you can call a coach, anybody who you think you feel safe and you can talk to them. But the one thing I really find a lot of people, and especially I think this is more women than men, from my own experience with a lot of my clients, we tend to be as women think our men, in this case I'm talking about men, women, our men become everything for us. Before, like when we lived in Africa, I mean maybe not even now in Africa, still it's very modern, so it's different. But we used to have a circle of people who were always a support system. We had so many people around us. So now when we live in the West, especially, we don't have that support system. It's good that you yourself and your kids, and the only other people is people on the phone. You can catch up with them, but it's not all the time. But I think for women, we should not make our main or our partners become our therapists, because after a while it becomes too much and they can't cope either. So I think we need to go find different circles of different people that we can talk for different things. So, for example, as a woman, you can go to women's circles where people do, meet and talk about well-being and wellness. You can find friends where you go there and talk to them. Don't take everything to your man, and vice versa for the men too. It's not always about talking everything to your wife. You can find your circles of people and groups of people where you can also go and have some support of some sort, so that you balance your mental well-being as well.
Wow, amazing, amazing. And just while we finish on that note, in terms of, you know, men or women, so the advocacy here is just not to attack or sort of you can have hobbies together, but it's also good to have, if this is what I'm getting right, it's also good to have some space you can go as a person to actually have a rejuvenation so that you actually can have a very good mental health, mental frame, if that is a word. Is that
So what's your
correct,
question?
Katinda?
Yes, so
I'm
what's
just,
your
I'm
question?
just, I just want you to sort of, because that's a very powerful thing, because people think you need to do things together, and it's good, yes, to do things together, but what I'm getting from you is it's also good to have separate things that you can go on your own.
It's very important not to lose yourself because in a relationship. You see, this is the one thing I've seen with a lot of people, and especially more females, because you see, when men don't really tell us what's going on because they shut down a little bit, but women talk. So I find a lot of women, when they get into relationships, they almost give themselves up. They forget they were individual. They always like to say there is a me before you, there is a me in the relationship, and there's a me after you too. So that's just a reminder as well. So I think a lot of people get lost in that. They get lost into the relationship and they forget who they were as an individual. And this is where that complication of people saying, oh, I'm looking for someone to complete me. I don't think anybody was half in the first place. You came in as a whole. You are human, you are whole. You didn't come in as a half person and needed another half to complete you. You came in as a whole, and well, no matter what goes on, you're still going to be that person. So I believe
Amazing.
people should have their own hobbies. They should have their own social circles, which are separate from each other. And of course, because they're always together, they should do things together. This is definitely, you have to, as I said, you got to nurture the relationship. There's things you have to do together to nurture yourselves in the relationship. But there's things you need to do apart so you can also take care of your well-being, because that's, and your mental well-being, because it can get too much. You can't be together all the time. I mean, you're going to have the space. And especially, one thing I know for sure, men love their space more than women.
Mm, mm.
And women need to understand that when your man just doesn't want to talk, he's in his that space where he just wants to be left alone, just leave him alone. Give him the space. It's just, there's nothing wrong with that. If you love him, you want a peace of mind for him. So let him
Mhm.
have it.
Yeah. Amazing. I wanted you to just to repeat that because people get it wrong most of the times. But amazing. We're gonna take a short break, and then when we come back, we're gonna now talk about the third stage in the last question. And if you have a question out there, if anyone is on, if you have a question, please write the question on the comment section, and we're gonna try and tackle your question with this great guest tonight. Thank you so much, Katina. We're gonna take a short break, and then when we come back, we're gonna have more questions and more conversations with Katinda.
Is medicinal chemistry. You know what medicinal chemistry is, but you as young back in the days, I thought that was medicine. That was silly, a little bit stupid, but that was my top preference. And then I got my top preference, and I wasn't considered for other things. Like, yeah, I did put like so many other things. Anyways, I didn't tell anyone in the community, but I was really excited to be accepted to study medicine. The first week of school, that's when I figured out medicinal chemistry is not actually medicine.
Imani pasipo majaribu we, hiyo imani mwenzangu haipo. Imani pasipo matendo, hiyo imani mwenzangu imekufa. Young, you experience some input, or you have some amounts coming in. You're like, all right, you know what? It's time. That car that I've always wanted. For me, I've always wanted a BMW. And be sure, you guy, my guy.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Things are really heated up here, and I can feel the heat. I was sweating a little bit while back, but now I'm well composed because the discussion tonight is just, I don't know, but it's just amazing to have such discussions. We're trying to help people out there just to know how to go about their relationships on any level, on any stage. But now we finished off on a very good note, mental health, and sometimes you might have a mental health breakdown. You might have maybe the relationship is not working, and this is where we've seen people go on a wrong road, or we end up having very many issues, police involved, domestic violence, and so many things I don't want to mention tonight. But if the relationship doesn't work, now you're actually in a relationship but didn't actually work. So, Katinda, what is the third stage, and how should someone actually handle this third stage of a relationship?
Wow. This question I like to ask is viewers, if you're watching this, and this is something that's affected, I think, nearly everybody without exception. We've had relationship breakdowns, we've had breakups, we've had some good ones, we've had some bad ones. Obviously, at the end of the relationship is never a good time for a lot of people. So the question is, where does the love go when a relationship comes to an end? That is a big question. Where does the love go? I mean, you were in love with someone, everything was amazing, and then suddenly it's all off, and things just change in the journey of the relationship. So I like to say that because now we are more informed, we've got more awareness with life. We're not as closed in. We can't say we're reserved or anything. I think it is very critical that people start to realize if your relationship is not working, if you've tried everything, you've tried to talk to each other, you've tried to mend things, and it's not working. What I think it's almost like growing up, having emotional maturity, and deciding, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to hurt me. What can we do to exit this relationship in a more amicable way? And the question is, when we break up with people, or when it's just we're talking about relationship here, but in life generally, when things go wrong, our self-esteem is the first thing that takes a hit. So when we're having a relationship issue and we're about to break up, in the process of all that, our self-esteem is really in question. We are struggling with it because now we're feeling we don't have the value we thought we did. Things are not going right. Why me? And I think if we work around thinking we have to protect each other's self-esteem, not just yourself, because you can't protect yours if you're not protecting the other person. So you have to work around how do you protect each other's self-esteem? How can you start having those conversations and end this relationship in a very respectful way. Now, I want to remind people that don't forget it takes two to tango. You're not in this relationship by yourself. You didn't start this relationship by yourself. You're there with somebody else. And obviously, there's a lot of pointing fingers which will happen. But at the end of the day, you need to stop and ask yourself, how did you participate in the decline of the relationship? Because we're very good at saying, oh, you did this, you did this, you did this, or you did this, you didn't do this. That's great. We are here now. How did you participate? And this is not a question to the other person. You're asking yourself, what was your role in this relationship that made it not work and not be healthy? Why do you have to go part ways? And I think if we start asking those deep questions, it's a bitter truth. I know people don't want to confront the fact that something happened. And a lot of times, obviously, I would say the bitter truth about relationships is the choice of partner. Sometimes the person you chose, like when we talked about in the beginning, if you don't choose people, or when people choose you, you make that choice to accept. But if it's somebody or someone who has values you don't like, and you accept that, so you're saying that you're accepting everything of who they are, even when you know it's not possible. And that's the other thing I forgot to say in the beginning. When you're trying to get into a relationship, remember one thing: people don't change. So if you're getting with someone, if there's something about them which is a non-negotiable, like maybe they drink too much, they smoke, they're workaholics, you get into that relationship thinking you're going to change them, I wish you luck. Because, first of all, it is so hard to change yourself. And you're going to get in. And this is something I hear with a lot of people. Oh, I'm going to get involved. When I'm with him, is going to. Why are you special? Why do you think the person before you was not special? Why do you think the person is still alone if that's who they are? So if you're not getting in and accept them for who they are, with whoever they are, whatever they got, if it's not for you, don't even start the process. So definitely, just always remember, it takes two to tango. You've got responsibility as well. It's not about the other person, and it doesn't matter even if people cheat on you or whatever reasons are the reasons why this is ending. Always remember you're also a part of this relationship, and that's just one thing. There's so many other things, and one thing I also want to bring on board, especially for people who have children. This is so critical, and I know we always seem to make this mistake. Keep the kids out of it. The kids are not part of the problem. You and him, you and her, whatever. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with the children. So just leave the kids out of it. Solve it man to man, woman to woman, whatever it is. Don't put the kids in between. Because a lot of people use the children as a bargaining tool. And in the process, we talk about trauma. We're traumatizing those kids. And if we never get them to go to therapy, we've just created human beings who are going to have a lot of problems, emotional issues, because of what we're doing. We're creating that for them. And I think a lot of people don't even notice that, but it's very critical that if you're going through a breakup, you have kids, just protect your children, because otherwise have a plan for therapy, because there's no way that's not going to be a thing. It's going to be a therapy scenario.
Amazing. And something that I've come to realize, or there's a term they use, but I want to, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you're actually going through this stage, what are the do's and don'ts? Because some people even go ahead and get something they call intervention orders. I don't know,
Yes.
but I'm just saying, what are the do's and don'ts? Because it actually escalates and gets very ugly. But so, what are some of the things that people should not do or should do while they're actually going through this stage, Katinda?
But the question is, why do people get so bitter? What's the issue? Is it because somebody cheated? Is it because somebody did? What is the so I think again you have to question, you look at yourself and say, why is your relationship declining? Why is it like this? Why is it coming to an end? What is the reason this has happened? Now, a lot of times we like to fight with each other, but we don't actually go to the core problem of why this has come to this. Because fighting is just a result of what's happened. What's the problem that happened that we're fighting about and we're not solving, but because it's too hard, we want to break up. But because somebody is either too feeling so upset and they want to really revenge, and this is where it comes. It's interesting you brought that up. A lot of people start to plan revenge, intervention orders, definitely revenge. But again, don't get me wrong. If there's a situation where that needs to happen, because either there is violence in the family and it's hard to leave, there's so many reasons why people do it. But if it's an amicable situation, where not necessarily amicable, but where somebody just decided they're so bitter and they want to punish you, I think with time, the way I look at it is, you get, they say karma is a bitch. what you give is what you get. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna wish you ill and it's gonna happen to you. Hell no. You saying it, you're actually professing to the world and you're saying, guess what? I'm wishing somebody bad luck. No, 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 no. You're not wishing nobody bad luck. It's your mouth. And they always say, when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So whatever you're saying that is negative, it will always come back to you. And a lot of times it comes back to you in magnitude, which means it punishes you because you're the doer. You're the one who said it. So I think people should really consider trying to work on their emotional well-being, because that's where this thing, if you're resenting somebody, if you're very pissed off, whatever's going on, find a way to calm yourself down. That's what I'm saying. Talk to a therapist, talk to somebody, go to your GP, talk to your friends, or talk to a coach, because then that diffuses, it stabilizes you a little bit. You're not so fiery. And don't react. Wait until you've calmed down. Take a deep breath. When you're having a fight, walk away. Don't have to fight back. Keep the moral ground, keep the higher moral ground. And this is what I say: don't plan to revenge, don't act badly, don't be very, very angry, don't hurt anyone, don't spread malicious information, which we find a lot of people go saying stupid things to people so that to make the other person look bad. Don't be aggressive. You're laughing, it's true. People go saying, oh, that person, you won't believe what they did. And I wonder, when people do that, what reaction do they want? They want other people to feel sorry for them, but guess what? The problem is still there. How are you going to heal yourself when you're feeling so bitter and so resentful? So that means you're just going to get sick. And that's why they say that's stress. That's why people are getting all these illnesses, because you're holding on to pain. And I like to say it's like taking poison and thinking that the person's going to die. That's what people are doing to themselves. Yeah, you're punishing somebody. Yes, you are. But you're punishing you 10 more times because you're the one who's creating the problem for yourself. And sometimes the other person doesn't even know what you're going through, because they're thinking, well, you're planning all the revenge, you're doing all the crazy stuff, you're the one with the thoughts and bad thoughts. So why stress? Why do that to yourself? Just do the right thing, whatever that is for the relationship or for the people involved.
Amazing. And I'm sure if they need any resources, any help, and that's why I was coming at. So maybe someone is going through that rough patch, and they is there resources, is there help that someone can actually get to help them heal and get over this stage, Katina?
Okay, so people have to start being a lot of open-minded and not worry about stigma, and seek for help. And help is everywhere. I mean, you can see there's a lot of whether you're a man or woman, there's a lot of government support services all over the place. All you need to do is just go on the website and ask for help, depending on what your situation is. As I said again, start at best. Your GP is a good starting point, your psychologist, your counselor, coaches. Talk to somebody, talk to a professional. Don't sit there and think you're alone. You're not alone. There's so many other people going through the same thing, or other people who've gone through the same things, and they've come out on the other side really more healthier, stronger, wiser, and everything. But I'm a big believer in violence is not an answer, because it doesn't solve the problem, it only escalates the problem. So I would say people should start having a way of calming themselves when things escalate. Breathe in, take a deep breath, step back until you sleep over it, and then make a decision the next day. Don't make a decision when you're pissed off, because if you make a decision when you're pissed off, it's never going to be the right one. So I think people should just really start with your GP if you don't know where to go. Go online. There's so many resources online that you just type Google, things come up. I'm one resource as well, and I work a lot with different people on different things. And obviously, I can refer people who they might need, if because I'm not a therapist. So if somebody's talking to me and I think your situation needs more intervention, then I would probably be suggesting see a therapist to help you through.
Amazing. What a conversation. And now coming down to, what Katinda does and that space you're calling that, you're not a therapist, but you're a coach. We just want to understand what is the benefits, or what are some of the benefits you've seen by someone having a coach or a mentor or a development, personal development coach. Maybe this is the
Okay.
point where you make people now understand, basically what Katinda does. Katinda, over to you.
Well, the truth is, a lot of people don't understand coaching because it's almost like a new word, but it's been around for the longest. So I find that if you in a professional space, for example, and you have to pair yourself with a mentor or a peer or somebody who's ahead of you, somebody who's got more experience, and you become like their protege, which means every time they're guiding you, they're the ones who are your person to go to, and you're learning a lot because they've been there before you. So I think what is a big thing is, especially with our African communities, we have to start realizing that the reason why the Western people tend to excel more than we do is because they start having this kind of support systems from a young age. They get their kids to have this kind of support systems from a very young age. And we can't always say, oh, they're better off because they're smarter. There's nothing to do with it. It's the system. They've identified that if you have a mentor, you have a coach in whatever area of your life that you're struggling with, and you get stronger because we're all born amazing. Nobody's born weak or strong. We're all born amazing. And it's a question of people nurturing you to be even better. So I think the thing is, the benefit of having a coach is you have an accountability partner who you can is your go-to person when things are getting thick, when things are hard, somebody you can talk to, somebody who can help you come to your own solutions. Because a lot of times with coaching, we don't make decisions for you, we guide you for you to get your own solutions, because everybody knows the right thing to do, but they don't know how to do that. So that's what a coach does. So we guide you, we become your accountability partner. We become, I mean, I'm a very tough coach. So if you're working with me, it's question of everything needs to be done. There's no slacking off. I don't do procrastination. If we say we're doing something, it's gonna be done. Because, and I find the good thing about that is if you say you're gonna do it, you do it. After maybe give yourself 12 weeks, you'll start to see progress. Because progress is not overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, but you have to be disciplined, you have to be consistent, you have to be truthful to yourself, you have to be truthful to the man in the mirror. So it's all those things. But the thing is, I like to say is, don't be shy, reach out. We don't bite, we're friendly, we're nice. And we're here to serve you, we're here to help you. And I'm talking about all the taboo subjects that people don't talk about. We're talking, parents are struggling talking to their kids about relationships, about sexuality, about bullying, all these things that we have that are super uncomfortable, and we hear them all the time. But the people, you hear parents who go, oh, my daughter's getting bullied at school, or they said this racist thing. And I've been in situations with parents where they've said, oh, I don't know what to do, but my kid will be okay. No, your kid is not going to be okay, because that's your self-esteem in question. And once you lose your self-esteem, you start going the negative path. You start feeling you're not good enough. You start feeling everybody else is better than you. You start judging yourself the bad way. So you want to protect everybody around you. You want to build people's self-esteem, encourage everybody. And it's a constant. It's not just one off here, there. It has to be constant. People need to be appreciated. People need to feel people love them. All those things are very critical for everyday living.
Amazing, Katinda. And if someone maybe would like to reach to you or just get your services or just to have a discussion, how can they actually get a hold of you?
Well, I'm a lot of social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat for the younger people. And so it's Katinda Ndola. I guess you'll put that on the screen at some point. So Katinda Ndola, you can reach out to me. You can visit our websites, but if you go to any of my social medias, especially Instagram, you'll be able to click on the bio, and that will take you to the website, which is confidenceandselfesteem.academy.
Amazing. Click on the bio. Some people don't understand that, especially the older generation. But the other thing is that I found you on TikTok the other day, and I realized you're actually on all social medias. So I'm gonna put all Katinda's
Yes.
handles after this, just on the comments box down below. But other than that, Katinda, we just want to say thank you. But before we let you go, we just want you to give us your closing remarks. Over to you, Katinda.
Okay, I would say one thing I know for sure, you can't give what you don't have. So you have to start by loving yourself first, because you can't give love to others when you don't know what love looks like, what love feels like for you, what love smells like. So it's all about you first, self-love. And if you don't know how to do that, actually, I've got something, Pete, for your audience. If they want, I'll give you a link. They can download a free self-care journal where they can do some of those self check-ins. You can check about your goals, your affirmation, what you want to do, what are your goals, how do you feel, all those things. So I've got a free self-care journal which you can download from our website as well.
Amazing. So we're going to get that and we're going to put it again down on the comment section below. And we just want to say thank you from the Connect here. And this video is just going to be an amazing resource to so many people. And I hope that it just shed some light because we can't really talk on everything and touch on all the topics, and that's why actually we have coaches, we have therapists, we have so many people just around to help. But this is just a good direction and a good pointer so that people can actually look at themselves and know exactly what they're doing. And tonight we just want to say thank you so much, Katinda, for making your time. I know you might be elsewhere, but you decided to be here on the Connect. And from the Connect, we want to say thank you. And just to ask if we ever, wanted to have a revisit or people want to have a discussion on any other topics when it comes to personal development, is Katinda available for us to do that?
Definitely, I'm available for sure. I love, you know, I feel blessed when I can bless others with my knowledge, with my wisdom, with my experience. And I know there's a lot of people who are younger who obviously are in the journey, and we're all in the journey. I'm still in the journey, but I like to say my journey where I'm at right now is a journey of peace, love, and light, a lot of and freedom of the mind. It's a lot of that. So a lot of people are not in that journey yet. Maybe they're in it, but we are here anytime you feel like you want me to come and be of value, be of service, please reach out.
Amazing. And that's a very good spirit to have because once you're teaching others or once you're giving, you're actually even adding value to yourself because you have to know something so that you give, or you have to have something so that you give. So that means you send yourself out there to input so that you can output. Thank you so much, Katinda, for those great words and just a great segment. It's just been amazing. I'm sure it's gonna bless a lot of people out there. People are gonna watch this after later. I'm just gonna push it on all social medias, on all the community stations, and also Facebook pages, people from all over the states in Australia and Kenya, everywhere. They're just gonna be, just be blessed with whatever you've shared with us tonight. And for that, we want to say thank you so much, Katinda. May you have a great evening. And for all our viewers tonight, we want to say thank you for watching. And if you're watching this later on, please write on the comment section. Just say what really, what key learnings have you gotten from this, and what else can you like to learn from Katinda, and maybe you never know. We can always bring her back, or you can actually visit her, or you can go listen. She actually does videos. I've seen you do videos on I think TikTok or on your website. She does very nice videos. Just go check them out. And she actually encourages people every day with those videos. So go check her out on TikTok, on Instagram, and all other social media. But from us tonight, we want to say thank you so much, Katinda. Thank you to our viewers, and we're gonna end it there. Until the next time, stay safe and keep learning. You never stop learning.
Thank
Keep
you, thank you,
learning
thank you.
and keep developing yourself. Thank you so much, Katinda. And from us, it's a good night.
Good night too. Bye bye for now.